Hi, my name is Sarah Wright, and I am the School of Medicine librarian and the clinical engagement team lead at the Health Sciences Library. I'm going to be with you for the next 30 minutes to discuss some techniques for finding evidence in literature regarding COVID. Some of you, for the third year medical students in the transition course, I just met with all of you a few weeks ago prior to starting your clinical clerkships. And for the fourth year students, some of you I've met working on research and other projects, and others of you I haven't. So what we're going to be looking at today is the following. We are going to look at finding literature for COVID-19 using the Health Sciences Library COVID-19 Guide, searching PubMed for COVID-19 articles, using LitCovid, which is NLM's curated list of articles, retrieving additional EBP COVID-19 resources, and finally revisiting critical appraisal to look at these resources. There are lots and lots of articles and clinical information coming over the web and in the preprint areas and on the preprint websites. Keep in mind that a lot of those articles have not been peer reviewed, and the results from those studies have not been looked at closely. So I urge you to look at those resources carefully to make sure of the validity of those resources. So what we're going to look at now is PubMed. And I want to start with the Health Sciences Library COVID Guide. And this can be found Health Sciences Library, hsl.lib.unc.edu. And under here, find the latest information resources on the coronavirus. So this is a guide that myself and my team, the clinical engagement team at the Health Sciences Library, has put together. We are updating this daily. We have a wide variety of information resources on this guide. I checked, and as of yesterday, we had almost 10,000 hits on the guide since we introduced it on March 4th. Main areas I want to have you take a look at are the following. Under healthcare professionals, first of all, under latest news, we have all the dashboards, the surveillance information. We're going to talk about LitCovid, and then there's some other North Carolina updates here, UNC updates. There's so much information on here. How can I help? Making protective equipment and supplies, patient information, national and international resources. So there's a lot on this guide, but I really want to come down here to the healthcare professional section and take a look. So on this guide, we're going to talk about this area in a little bit, and these are all of the evidence-based practice and clinical guidance resources that we have available. And what's been nice is Dynamed, which is a resource that UNC does not subscribe to, has opened up their COVID resources, as have many other journals, publishers, clinical groups. Their information is available. As you'll see that most of the COVID-19 resources from the literature, even from journals that UNC does not subscribe to, almost all of them have been made open access during this crisis, which is great. So you should have access to everything. Just a reminder, if there are a few articles that you're unable to get either open access or through UNC subscriptions, you can still do an interlibrary loan for those articles. Our interlibrary loan service is still working remotely, and we do have access to most resources. I cannot guarantee all resources at this time, because since most facilities such as UNC are closed down, if there is not an electronic copy of an article available, we would not be able to get that for you. Obviously, most of the COVID articles are going to be in journals that will be published electronically, so that probably shouldn't be an issue. If you run into issues like that, please let me know, and I'll be glad to help you however I can. So the first thing I want to look at, so we've got the diagnosis management after the EBM resources. And then down here are latest research articles. So what we've done is we have created a COVID search string. So if you put the search string into PubMed, then any other terms you search with it will just search for this COVID feed. So if you come down here to run a search, so again, I am on UNC's site, COVID information, coming down here to healthcare professionals, and then I'm coming down here to the latest research articles. So I'm going to come in here and run a COVID-19 search in PubMed. 2,355 articles, which is pretty amazing if you think that they're 3-4 months worth of information. So we have the latest one. Here's an article that came in March 31st. A lot of these do not have abstracts available, but that's the best we can do. Here's an article from New England Journal of Medicine. So again, you can see if you come down here to advanced, you can see what the search string is. And this is everything that we've put together. So these are all of the coronavirus terms, the SARS-CoV, the 2019 nCoV, etc. So 2,355 articles. I would suggest at this time not using the age limits because the indexing for those have not come in yet to PubMed. So I would just work on text word searching at this point. So if you come back up here to advanced, and let's say you were looking for information on public health and COVID-19. So I'm going to do public health, and then I'm going to and that with number 10, which as you can see here is my COVID search. You can do this a couple different ways. So let's look at this one. So 501 articles dealing with public health and COVID. Now let's say that's too many. For those of you who are in my transition course will remember that you can put words in the title, which will reduce your number of publications and make them more relevant. So if I do public health and my COVID terms, now I have 48 articles. U.S. public health budget cuts, how to navigate a public health emergency legally and ethically from the Hastings Center report, public health journals. Here's an MMWR morbidity and mortality weekly report, which are more statistically based. So as you can see, a worldwide public health emergency. Here's one from Lancet on mass gathering events and reducing further global spread. So as you can see, we're going to take that search string again for PubMed, and we can add other terms to it. So let's do another couple searches. So I'm going to take my COVID, my 2355, and this is the other way I was going to show you how you can search. So if you take this, and in the beginning, let's say we're looking for pediatrics. And again, I'm going to put it in the title because I think there are going to be a lot of articles. So I'm going to do pediatric. Remember the truncation, which would be pediatric or pediatrics. TI brackets, again, for the word in the title, or I'm going to do the British spelling and do the same thing. I'm going to do child, I'm going to do children, and I'm going to do infant. This is not going to be 100% absolutely everything. So I've taken my search terms and then I've added my COVID search after that. And now we have 77 articles from that 2355. And again, limiting it to the title, these are going to be the main articles on this topic. COVID-19 infection in children from Lancet Respiratory Medicine. COVID-19 in the pediatric population. Challenges posed by COVID-19 to children with cancer. And remember, if the title is in brackets, It is in a foreign language. If there is an abstract, the abstract will be in English. If not, the article, this one, as we can see, will be in German. Let's do a couple more searches. Okay, so I'm going to take out my pediatric. I'm going to look for antiviral. Same way. 18 articles. And again, with all of these articles, if you look at almost all of these, they do not have the subject headings attached yet because everything is so new. There might be a couple that do. So for this search, unlike other searches, I am suggesting that you just do text word searching and or together as many synonyms as you can for your text word search to get as many of these articles as you can that are relevant. And then finally, let's do one more. Let's do ECMO. Again, in the title. So we have 6. ECMO for ARDS due to COVID-19. So at this point, I want you to take 5 minutes, stop the video, take a subject that is of interest to you, do a couple searches, and find 3 articles on that topic that are of interest to you. And I want you to hold on to those 3 articles. So what you could do, let's say you want these 3 on ECMO. If you come up here, send them to the clipboard. They're going to end up in your clipboard. And when we come back in a couple minutes and look at critical appraisal, we're going to take those articles that you have, take our critical appraisal guidelines, and I want you to then choose some articles based on that. So go ahead and stop the video, do a search, topic search for something dealing with COVID-19 that you're interested in. I know some of you have journal clubs coming up or some other systems work, so go ahead and find some searches for you for COVID. All right, so let's look at some other resources that are available besides PubMed. So I'm going to come back to our HSL guide, and there's some other good evidence-based medicine resources that are now being developed and available on COVID. So again, we're going to come back down here to the healthcare professionals and a couple sites that we have here that are available. Up to Date has done a good review on coronavirus, on all of the different aspects of it, the epidemiology, the clinical features, the evaluation, the management, everything as we're used to, special situations. I'm going to come down here to society guideline links, and there are some guidelines that are available on different aspects of COVID. Some from Canada, some here from US, AAP, guidelines for pediatrics and respiratory and OBGYN. All of these groups have come up with guidelines, anesthesiologists. So these are great resources for you to use. Besides Up to Date, Dynamed also has its clinical summary that is available. New England Journal of Medicine Journal Watch. Cochrane has made some of their resources available. And these, I've taken a look at these, are not necessarily new, but they're referenced guidelines. So if you look at evidence relevant to critical care, special collection for these clinical issues, nutrition and intensive care. So let's say we come down to that one. Let's come down for the. So as you can see for this one, so this is a little bit older, but these are evidence-based practice issues that are relevant to COVID. And a couple more resources that we have besides that, the Cochrane, the NEJM, the Center for Evidence-Based Medicine from Oxford. This is also good too. These are new evidence syntheses that are coming out daily. Managing older population in long-term care settings, the viral load and the severity. And again, these are new, these are just being developed now. The hashtag for this background, these are fairly short, but there's some great information, some good statistics. And again, that's Oxford's CEBM site. And then one more resource, again, Diagnosis and Management. Elsevier has made some of their resources available, healthcare. And then also when we come down here, so here's our COVID feed where we were before. Data sets, clinical trials, Tableau, Dimensions. These are both data visualization tools that you can use. Disaster Lit pulls in guidelines, reports, and proceedings for professional audience. And then finally, I wanted to show you TRIP database, which is another evidence-based database that you can use. And there are 266 results for COVID-19. Again, there's that Oxford Evidence Service. So this is kind of a duplicate of where we were previously. If you come down here, US guidelines, of which there are 2, Infectious Disease Society and a CDC. So as you can see, we're starting to see some of the same resources over and over again. And then the evidence-based synopses from TRIP, of which there are 106. Do weather conditions influence the transmission of the coronavirus spreading through ocular fluids? As you can see, there's quite a bit of information on here. Finally, I want to let you know there's one more resource that I want to look at. So we created our own PubMed search string that you can use, which of course is right here, run a COVID-19 search. And there is another resource. So here are some other data sets. What I want to find is, I'm going to go back to the main page because I know it's on here. If you come down here to Lit COVID, which is on the main page of the guide, this is a curated literature hub for tracking up-to-date scientific information about the COVID virus. Comprehensive, 737, they're more than that now, and it's updated daily. So this is another place you can go. So it is 2019. This one has 2170, and I think we had pretty close to that in our PubMed search. So you really could come to either place. Let's do again public health. In this, you can't limit to TI. It only does text word searching, so it doesn't have all of the tags and fields that PubMed does. But here are 212 articles. What's great about this is you can look under the top 10 journals like Lancet. You can look at their top 7 articles. If you did a search on health systems, '17 articles, you can choose again which journal you want and from which country. So this is another place that you can go to get COVID information. Let's do the ECMO 6. So that's the same as we had in PubMed. Again, it's your choice as to which one you want to use. I'm familiar with using PubMed and the TI bracket title, that can't be done in this database. So it's up to you how you want to deal with that. So finally, I'm going to go back to my screen. And for the rest of the session, we want to look at critical appraisal. And I know you've done some critical appraisal back in foundation phase, but I wanted to go over what I call critical appraisal light, which is a way to kind of go through these articles and make sure you're finding the ones that are the highest quality. So you should have put 3 to 4 articles in your clipboard in PubMed that were dealing with a particular topic. And now we're going to ask some questions about those articles, and I want you to be able to go through them and decide which one really has the best evidence for you. So you want to look at the validity, the reliability, and the applicability of the research. So for each of those, the validity of the research. What year was the publication published? Not as much of a deal for this one because they're all going to be 2019 and 2020. Have you heard of the publication, journal, resource that has published this information, and what institution is connected to the author? In PubMed, underneath the author's name, you can expand it to look at the institutions where the authors are affiliated. Does the study address a new, clearly focused question? And does the study add anything new? You know, again, with COVID-19, all of the publications are being rushed. The peer review process is probably not as stringent as it normally would be. So just really look at these resources carefully. So the reliability of the research, what type of study is it? And if it is a randomized controlled trial, did they actually randomize the patients in that trial? Valid methods, and was the study design appropriate for the research question? How many subjects were used in this research? You know, there are a lot of new clinical studies out with COVID that are looking at an N of 10, so there were 10 patients in that study. Is that reliable information and information that you can use moving forward with clinical information? How was the statistical analysis performed? What biases, confounding factors, and are there any other conflicts of interest? Reminder again of the evidence-based pyramid. Your highest evidence will be the clinical practice guidelines, of which there are some. Of course, at this point, your meta-analyses and systematic reviews are not going to be available for COVID at this time. They just haven't been developed and processed yet. There are going to be some RCTs, and then again, the lower you go, the case report, case series will have less evidence. And then finally, determining the applicability of the research. What conclusions did the author reach? Are the conclusions justified by the data? Are they statistically significant? And that's really important to look at. And then finally, can I apply the results of the study to inform patient care? So at this point, I want you to go back and pull out your 3 articles from PubMed. And here are those critical appraisal questions from these past 3 slides, all in one slide that I'll leave up, that you can use, and choose one of the articles that you have from your PubMed COVID search and choose which one you think has the best evidence that can best be critically appraised. I'm going to stop the video here. You can pause it to go through this activity. All right, and here are some further critical appraisal checklist items. I know some of you are going to be doing the journal clubs, and there are specific critical appraisal tools specifically for journal clubs also. So I hope this has been informative for you. Please know that you can reach out to me at any time to ask for information, for help. You can find my information specifically on the Health Sciences Library webpage. My email address is wrightst@med.unc.edu, and also on HSL's website. If you want to set up a session with me to discuss any of this, you can access my calendar and set up a time to meet with me directly. Good luck to everybody, and again, feel free to reach out to me if you need additional information. Take care. Bye.